It's important that you provide detailed descriptions of what a person will get as a result of working with you. Make sure also that you're answering the who, what, when, where, why, and how questions in your copy, specifically when it comes to your services. You're listening to the Copywriter On Call podcast. I'm your host, SARA Gillis, copywriter, word magic maker, and owner of What SARA Said. On this podcast, you'll feel empowered to show up online in a way that has you saying, "That's so me." Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Copywriter On Call podcast, my friend. I am your host, SARA Gillis, and I am clocking in for some solo on-call hours today to chat all about buyer personalities. There are generally 4 different types of buyers, and they all need something different. And it's important that your website appeals to all types of buyers. So that's why, as a photographer or another creative service provider, pretty images or great testimonials in a portfolio on your website just aren't enough. You need copy too. So let's talk about the 4 different buyer types and unpack how you can serve and sell to them too. First, let's talk about analytical buyers. These are your people that are motivated by logic. When an analytical buyer is trying to make a purchasing decision, they tend to require a lot of information. They want to make that informed, confident decision. Now, analytical buyers are a little bit of a slower buyer than the other buyer types, which we'll talk about in a minute. They typically don't want to make that purchasing decision until all of the facts are on the table. So this buyer is a perfect example of why your website needs more than just pretty images or great testimonials. It needs more information, more data. Let me share an example to help bring this to light. Analytical buyers are the ones who often read every single word of a sales page or of a contract before they actually say go. So it's important that you provide detailed descriptions of what a person will get as a result of working with you. Maybe you're focusing in on deliverables or session time or specific products that you're delivering as part of your package. Make sure also that you're answering the who, what, when, where, why, and how questions in your copy, specifically when it comes to your services. One of my clients, who's a lifestyle family and newborn photographer, Sabrina Gebhardt, does this really well on her family photography page. She has a section called The Process that walks the client through step by step what it looks like to inquire and to work with her, and what image delivery looks like too. She also has a really great and robust FAQs section specifically for her family clients. I'll put a link in the show notes for you to check it out. It is a great example of how you can reach an analytical buyer. All right, let's talk about the second buyer type. This is called the amiable buyer. Now, amiable buyers are more relationship oriented. When it comes to business, they place a high value on personal connections. So for this buyer, the facts and the details matter, but maybe less. As long as you are making this buyer feel seen or heard or understood, they're more likely to work with you. Amiable buyers are typically the ones who might rely most on an about page on your website. They might want to get to know you before they make that purchasing decision. That's why crafting this page of your website is really important, because you want to truly connect with this client. I explain more how to write an about page that really prioritizes your client in episode 15 of this podcast. So I encourage you to head on back and take a listen. Let's bring this to life here with another client example. Amiable buyers, again, likely pay more attention to how your copy makes them feel. So copy tactics like mindset motivators, which is where you focus in and speak to the client's pain points, what they're struggling with, but also their desires, what they really, really want, and good news statements, which is also called a brand promise. Maybe you've heard that before. A good news statement really delivers that message of, I can help you. You don't have to stay stuck. And those types of copy tactics, that mindset motivator, that good news statement or brand promise, helps to convert that amiable buyer into a paying client. Now, one of my clients does this really, really well on her services page. My client, Natasha, who's based out of the Washington, D.C. area, is a lifestyle photographer. And she says this specifically on her services page. As your children grow, the special moments you've loved capturing in photos as a new mom are comparatively few. But when's the last time your entire family appeared in a portrait? Yes, I'm talking to you, mom behind the iPhone. Let's change the script in favor of an in-home session that'll photograph all the happiness and all of the chaos that comes along with having a growing family. Can you see how the amiable buyer will feel seen and understood in a statement like that? Beautiful. I'll put a link for this page in the show notes for you as well. All right, so we've already talked about two different buyer types, the analytical buyer and the amiable buyer. Now let's dive into buyer type number 3, the driver buyer. A driver buyer is someone who is typically more results oriented. They're more direct in their communication and they're very goals focused. This buyer is often a quick decision maker and values things like efficiency and tangible results. So unlike your analytical or your amiable buyers, a driver buyer doesn't necessarily need a personal relationship. They also don't really need all of the facts on the table, but they do need to know something else. ROI, or return on investment. Any sort of results related information, the driver buyer wants it. This is why having a variety of different styles of testimonials, from those that show numbers-based results, whether it's number of students in a program or dollars made, they also want to see emotional or organizational transformations. So if you participate in a coaching program, what is the transformation that you have emotionally or mindset wise? Or if you're thinking through hiring someone like a home organizer, what kinds of transformations are those organizational types of services providing in your life? So these types of stories, these types of results can be a great asset for your business to tell on your website, because each testimonial type speaks to a different person. And again, these results-based ones, especially if they're specific, really speak to that driver buyer. Let's look at a client example here. And we're going to turn back to my client, Sabrina Gebhardt. So when we were creating Sabrina's sales page for her mastermind program, Route to Rise, we gathered some written testimonials as well as some screenshots of Instagram DMs or Voxer access or text messages to really showcase the variety of experiences and ways that her clients can communicate with her, but also to showcase the progression of brand new student to veteran experience here at the end of the Route to Rise mastermind experience. So we showcased the variety of experiences that her students had inside this program so that we could really tell that story. Some of the testimonials are really specific in terms of dollars made or clients booked, but some are more emotional, some are more mindset based, and both can be valuable. Again, I'll put a link in the show notes for you. You'll want to scroll down here to the testimonials section because it's really powerful. One more tip I wanted to share with you here, don't be afraid to use video testimonial. Video testimonials can be really powerful, again, for a driver buyer, but for any type of buyer. All right, we've made it to the end here. Let's talk about buyer type number 4, the expressive buyer. An expressive buyer is someone who is typically pretty outgoing, enthusiastic, and really values communication in business. So they're very similar to the amiable buyer because they value relationships, but they also really seek to build that connection with the people they work with. They are interested in the emotional or the mindset focused impact of their decision, maybe not as interested in like the technical aspects or the financial aspects. They're more focused on the big picture here. Because of this, the expressive buyer tends to be typically driven by storytelling and anecdotes versus a list of facts. Now, we've already talked about why storytelling is so crucial on your services page, but it really is important throughout your website. Now, I want to have you think through a different example here to bring this to life. Again, when we're thinking about the expressive buyer, they really value storytelling and connection. So I wrote for Art Creative Company, who's a brand photography and videography studio out of Dallas, Texas. And when we were writing their services page, we helped to tell the story of a business owner who really wants to stand out. We emphasize the importance of showing up in images that represent your business and your brand. And we brought that to life by offering examples of ways that imagery, whether it's video or photography, can show that passion and dedication that we have as business owners. So on the services page, the grounding statement or basic statement at the top really emphasizes this and really hits on that expressive buyer. When you plate tacos, shake hands with a happy new homeowner, or capture beautiful photographs of growing families, you're bringing your product, your service, your dream to life. Capturing authentic imagery and videography that is tailored to your business connects people to your brand, helping them to understand who you are and what you do. Let us showcase your unique passion and skills by visually elevating your brand and showing off what you can do to your dream audience. I love that copy. I think it really speaks to that expressive buyer because you can clearly see a before and an after. You can see what it's like to be a business owner who has the passion and the skills, but doesn't quite know how to communicate it. And then you can see what happens as a result of having video and images that really bring that to life. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope that you take time this month to audit your website. See how it's performing for each of the 4 different buyer types that I shared. And for more information on these buyer types, I want to point you to the show notes. There I have a couple different resources for you. I share a blog post on this topic of my own, but also one from Salesforce, which is a powerful CRM platform that's used to collect and analyze customer data. It's a major player in the CRM game, and they really unpack these 4 different buyer types. Head to the show notes for all of these links and resources. And as always, this is your Copywriter on Call, signing off. Thanks for listening to the Copywriter on Call podcast. If this episode has you feeling all sorts of inspired to show up as yourself online, click that subscribe button so you don't miss my stories or practical advice to help you express your quirky, vulnerable, and authentic self online. Chat soon.